What? What's that you say? Wednesday? No. How could that be? Hi, everybody. Welcome along to Men's Radio Station. It's radio for grown-ups. It's, well, I started off with Where Men Really Speak, but fascinatingly, 50% of our audience are women. Welcome, one and all. A ludicrously packed show. It's so busy today. It's bonkers. It's like Victoria Station. I may have overcooked the egg slightly. All right, let's bring her on. She's chomping in the wings. I need to say no more than, ladies and gentlemen, it's only Lesley de Meza. Can we hear you now, Lesley? No. Oh, God. What Lesley meant to say was, oh, blow. Oh, darn it. Can you believe that? No, it's your settings, sweetheart. Barry JL, it is, sweetheart. I promise you it's your settings. It's definitely not me. Quite impossible. Let's just see what it says here. Yeah, no, you're on. It's all fine. Don't know what to do. You're going to have to fiddle around there. Not the first time. Barry J. Allen, hi, Flash. Hi again, Russ. How's your trainers? I got to tell you, Barry, that my trainers are sparkling and brand new. They look sensational. I put them in the wash yesterday with my Showbiz News update, right? My Showbiz News update. And the trainers were squeaking against the glass door. And I was trying to write. It was driving me mad. Wait a minute. It's only E Phantom. Crazy name. Crazy gal. Which means that, wow. Well, how lovely to have you along there. And this was Barry Hauser train. The trainers are great. It was a big success. Right. I've got so much to try and get through. And I can see the digital waiting room looks like Terminal 5 at Heathrow. I mean, it's just ludicrous. Right. Let's bring her straight on. I don't know how we're going to do it. I'm going to have to fiddle around. She's one of my favorite performers. I've seen her in concert many, many times. She's a fantastic writer, fantastic singer, and the greatest interpreter of Bob Dylan and Leonard Cohen outside of Bob Dylan and Leonard Cohen. That's not why she's here, by the way. It's only Barb Jungr.
Hello.
Barb, let's see if we can get there. We go. That looks
Hi.
better. There we are. That's lovely. Hi, Barb. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you. I'm good. Thank you very much. The sun's shining.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful day.
Barb, don't ever do it. We we don't want Sheree. Sheree is for radio too. Now, the reason I wanted you on is because I got doctors in the waiting room, I got singers in the waiting room, I got Lesley de Meza banging her head against a brick wall at the moment. So you and I we chit chat online and stuff like that, and I've known you for years, and I'm a unashamed big fan. You are a full-time carer, are you not?
I am. Yes, I am. I have my mother with me. When the pandemic started, Russ, I know you know some of this, but when the pandemic began, when we sort of realised that the writing was on the wall and we were imminently all going to be locked up, I realised that I needed to go and be with my mother and look after her, because I had been sort of arranging her care so that I was going up and down from London to Stockport twice a week. And it was, to be honest, I was stretched like a wire. So I moved up there just with a suitcase and left everything in London in the flat. And only being with her for a week, I realised that she could never be on her own again. What
was the only because we've dedicated now nearly like 5 shows to dementia and Alzheimer's because the reaction was so huge, and I'm going to have to do it's such an enormous subject. What was the turning point for you, Barb? Was there a specific moment?
Yes, there was. It was. She fell again at the very beginning of last year, and she went down, as it were, 2 floors of the house.
Oh
You know,
my God.
I don't mean she fell that way. I mean she fell 2 doors of your mind house. In your mind house, when she fell on the floor, normally, 2 floors of her mind house went, and they didn't come back, and so. So, you know, so for example, the biscuits are in the microwave. Anything that you want is not where it would normally be.
Yeah.
Things that she'd lived in that house for 60 years, her old house, and she didn't know where anything was, couldn't remember anything about anything. And consequently, I thought, well, I talked to the psychiatrist who gave us our dementia and Alzheimer's diagnosis. And I said, I'm thinking of moving her in with me, and we'll both move to a place where she can have her own space on a ground floor and I can have my own space, but I can keep an eye on it all the time. Right. That was my idea. And the specialist, the psychiatrist said, do it now, because if you leave it any longer, it might not work. So in the middle of the pandemic, I moved my mother and myself. I sold a house, moved my flat, bought a house. I did it all myself because there was nobody could help. I did all of that, and I moved her down here, and it was a great idea because she loves it and she's happy. She doesn't know where anything is, but she didn't know where anything was in the house she was in before, so that's fine. Right. Day by day, she slides a little bit, and new things happen. So the newest thing is the other night she said, "Oh, don't leave the keys in the front door." And I said, "Well, why not?" And she said, "Well, your dad can't get in. Your dad can't get in."
I presume he's been gone for some time. I'm guessing
2004.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some time.
Sometime.
This is the frequent thing. How have you? We discussed with our experts the effects of dementia. That this, as people get elderly, the falling seems to really precipitate them into a downward spiral, which is happened with my mum, as you know, and if you've only just joined the show, my mum had dementia for 16 years. It was an absolute nightmare on the first. So it was a subject very close to my heart when I thought, let's dedicate some of the shows to it, because we're dealing with elderly parents. Well, I'm not anymore, but everybody else is. How are you coping?
Well, I cope okay because, I'm fortunate. I'm fortunate in that we can live in a place that she's happy living in, and that affords us the benefit of a garden you walk into from the living room. You know, you can walk straight into the garden. I've arranged the garden so that with 10 steps she can sit down and she can be amongst flowers, which I've created. I've created a garden for her that she's happy in. So she's out there now, actually, sitting in the garden. I got a dog. I got a little dog, Bambi, and Bambi, who
don't tell its mother, for God's sake.
By complete luck, Bambi is a joy bringer. Bambi she's a little rescue dog, and she just arrived basically so happy to be in a house where people love her that all she does is give love. And so my mother...
That's why dogs are so much nicer than people.
I know.
Every time. Let me see if I can bring in Lesley here at this point. Let's just see if I can do this. Let's see if it works.
Shall I
Calling
speak?
Lesley de Meza.
Can you hear me?
Sadly, yes.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, I preferred it when you were mute, to be honest with you. I thought it was better.
Always. So many people say that. I'm listening to you and Barb talking about what happened with your mums. And you know, Russ, that I lost my mum died very suddenly, very unexpectedly. Yes. And I realized, I've always known how blessed I am that when she went, she was totally, I was going to say in good health, that would make her laugh. But she was totally compos mentis. She'd celebrated her 90th birthday 10 days before, and we'd been to the theatre, we'd been out to dinner, we'd been to friends, and I cannot imagine how difficult it has been, Barb, for you, and how brilliant when you said about building the garden for your mum. It's fantastic. Just amazing. And I just hope you, and I hope Russ did at the time, but I don't think he did enough, make some time for you within this, Barb, because you need that support, my love.
No, I do. I absolutely do. And you're not the only person to say that. All of my friends say this on a daily basis, but I do. I walk in the morning, and now I have arranged my care. So I have a couple of wonderful women who come. I mean, they come down from London. I knew them in London, but I love them, and my mum knows them. And they are Colombian. Consequently, they're people who just live in sunshine, as it were. However hard their lives may have been, and they were, they live in sunshine, and consequently they come in with such good hearts, and my mum really likes them, and because of them I'm able to work, and because I'm able to work I can be happy, because then I can go and sit in rehearsal rooms, sing, I can make music.
Well, let me read this from Stephen Marsh, Accountant to the Stars, really, and I'm going to introduce our first doctor. Oh yeah, that's how I roll. Stephen Marsh, really appreciate these shows on dementia. Well done to you and your guests. Thanks, Stephen. Unless you have a relative, I'm just going to put this up, gang, so you're going to disappear for a sec. Unless you have a relative or a close one with this awful condition, it's hard to imagine how destroying it is for all concerned. I'm typing this sitting in the sunshine in a community garden in Epping, full of shrubs and flowers. Beautiful. It's so bloody important. You know, it is so important. Now, let's get medical. Sitting in the digital green room very patiently. Barb, how are you for time? Is your mum all right?
No, I'm good. Yeah, no, because she's in the garden and with the dog.
And if anything happened, the dog would come and, you know, what's that? Something at the mine shaft? Lassie, what's going on? It'd be that. Okay, let's introduce Dr. Claire Howlin. Hello there, Claire. Dr. Howlin. I'm always impressed. Someone's got a doctor in front of their name. I'm impressed.
Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, we can hear you great. No, we can
Perfect.
hear you absolutely fine. Thank you so much. Now, tell us a little bit about yourself, because there is a theme here. Not for Lesley, because she and I can't sing, but there is for Barb. Claire, tell us about it.
So we've been doing some work at the moment looking at how music can actually help the experience of acute pain. Now, I know that music has been used in other areas as well, like for people with dementia and other illnesses. Yeah. And there's a lot of definite health and well-being benefits. But we actually did a study just recently to kind of focus on how can it actually help acute pain. So this would actually help the carers as well as the people who need care. We know that 40% of the UK population experience pain on a day-to-day basis. But for a lot of people, we still have to kind of get up and go to work and look after people and continue regardless. So we've been trying to help find strategies to help people manage pain and feel better about it as well. We've created a bespoke piece of music with a wonderful artist, Anatol. He is from Sydney, Australia. We work together to find ways to make the music more interesting and engaging that would resonate with lots of different types of people on a really human level. So he used like field recordings of human voices and splashing sounds and things that really do remind you of better times. We asked people to listen to this music, and after listening, they provided us with a second set of pain ratings that showed us that it actually did help to decrease levels of both pain intensity and pain unpleasantness.
Barb, does this come as a surprise to you? You're a professional singer, songwriter, performer.
No. No, for all kinds of reasons, actually. Claire, I'm also a trustee of the Ernest Tech Charitable Foundation, and we funded Singing for the Brain, the dementia Singing for the Brain, for a long time. And I used to run choirs, so I'm a little bit sort of au fait with the practitioner aspect of that. But from a personal point of view, recently, this is so silly, but recently I in yoga pulled my psoas muscle right out of whack.
I don't want to be rude. I'm going into tentative ground here.
It's the muscle that goes from your groin all the way around your hip, right the way up to your back. So when so everything, standing, sitting, lying, I was crying with pain, but I had to do a gig. And so I put my shoes on, went on the stage, sang for 2 hours, and didn't think of pain once.
That's fantastic.
Of course, that's Dr. Theatre as well, isn't it?
It is.
That's Dr. Theatre, which is where people, unless they've done it, do not understand. I don't know, Claire, if you've got, anything professional, but when you're performing, you can be feeling absolutely terrible. You're standing in the wings of the theatre. You're feeling dreadful. You think you're going to keel over. You walk on, hit the center spot, boom, you feel fantastic. Crawl into the wings and collapse. It's the most bizarre thing. It's just bizarre. I don't know how it occurs, but it occurs every time. Every single time. If only we had Anatoly around. If only we had this singer around. Oh, hang on.
Hello.
It's like magic. It's almost like magic.
Hello.
Hi, Anatole. How are you? Have I got your name right? It's not Anatoly. The E.
No, you got it right.
Oh, it's Anatoly.
Yeah. No, Anatole. Anatole.
All right. Well, I'll accept either, and I like the fact we're all now little tiny postage stamps. But there we are. It's the best I can do, gang. How did you start to research this about pain and music and make a link, Anatole?
Well, I think it was actually talking to Claire. So I was brought into the project. I think she had started the discussions. So I think Nurofen was the one that brought us together. And so did
you say Nurofen?
Nurofen, yeah. So,
I live on that. I live on that, gang. That's my go-to drug. I practically live on it. Go on. Right.
Yeah. So and through those discussions, I had no idea how to approach the writing a piece of music when I first saw it. But slowly, as we talked, it came to mind. So we thought of this idea of empirical aesthetics. So how can you engineer something that brings to mind a certain emotion or a certain feeling? And so what was that groovy phrase you just used? What was empirical aesthetics? It's my newest science
Lesley,
phrase.
I told you that's what we were only chatting about earlier when you yelled something. Imperial aesthetics. I'm never without it.
Aesthetics.
So we arrived at the concept of wonder, and so I was able to come in from the music side of things about how we would actually accomplish that. And so for me, it was, and I think I heard Claire talking about it before, the sort of sounds that like remind you of certain things. So there's field recordings of a walk I took in the national park, and like more acousticy sounds. But we also talked about how can we make this track as engaging as possible? And so that comes from a sense of novelty and maybe new sounds and things in a way that are slightly familiar, but kind of keep your attention as the track goes on. And then there was other things we talked about, like the idea of tension and release. So having a long arc throughout the track. And so certain things that it was interesting to kind of approach it more in that methodical and scientific way. And then I was given the tools to then go away and actually just create the track. And I was kind of not given any restrictions there, so I just made it. And I'm very happy with the result.
Anatole, I've got it. Something's buzzing around in my head, and I've just got to go there because I have no filter. It was like you said, Nurofen brought us together. So did you wander into a branch of Boots? Since I got a cracking headache, and Dr. Howlin said, "I've got some Nurofen." You said, "I got a song," and then the rest is history, or what?
Well, and I actually don't know how the project started, so maybe Claire could enlighten me there.
Claire, how did this kick off? Because it's so important. I just putting in my own 2 cents worth here. Is this during lockdown? I only listen to audiobooks. I don't listen to music. And then during the whole pandemic, to this day, my musical intake has increased and gone off the scale. And I'm kind of listening at night. I just go onto music videos, mostly of heavy metal. It has to be said, and old stuff, because I'm not crazy about the new stuff.
The heavy metal is having a resurgence, I think, in lockdown. I think a lot of people are getting their frustration out with their heavy metal listening.
It's interesting you say that, because it's the only musical. As much as I love Barb's stuff, and her, as I said, if you haven't heard her, I'm sorry. I'm going to give you a blatant plug. I keep your album in the car. I have 2 albums in the car. One is Ray Gelato and the Giants, Live at the Hideaway, and the other is yours. That's it. I don't have any other music in the car. And as much as I love your interpretations of Dylan and Leonard Cohen, extraordinary. although you once did a Beatles song. I'm sorry, I'm digressing slightly, but it's such a thrill to have Barb on the show as well as you guys. But she did a Beatles song. What was it? Things we said.
Things we said today. Yeah.
Today, which we've all heard a billion times, and Barb gave it this twist. And you thought it was like hearing it for the first time. Anyway, that's the power of music. That's kind of, I'm not.
That's an interesting point that you're drawing on, though, is the idea that, you know, having something that's familiar, that you kind of have a sense of where it's going, but that there is this surprise or novel element to it, so that it kind of re-engages your interest with it. You know, it's not just about repeating the same sounds over and over, but kind of, you know, reinvigorating them and enriching them, and, you know, having really kind of rich acoustic experiences as well. So that element of surprise is a really it's really neurally rewarding. It actually stimulates a lot more neural reward in your neural reward network, and it's really key to actually getting the benefit from it. It's fascinating
you say. That's why I don't like cover bands. I mean, you know, they're all very charming, and I'm sure they're all talented, but it's like, well, if I want to see the real thing, I'll see the real thing. If they're still alive, or I'll watch a film of it. I don't want to see someone else doing it. Why did we need music so much? I'm going to put this to Anatole and Claire. Why did we need, and you as an educationalist, Lesley, why did we need music more and more during this past horrible 19 months for our mental health? What was it doing? Claire, take it first.
Yeah, we actually did another research project on this last year. And we did a big international study with 6 countries looking at people's musical engagement over lockdown. So we had 5,000 people in that study, and we found actually one of the strongest predictors of music helping you in the lockdown was people that took an interest in other people's Corona music. I don't know if you're parodies. Yeah, Corona music came up really strongly. We were really surprised by this.
Corona music.
Yeah, so parodies of
my Corona,
and anything that was kind of to do with the pandemic. And we looked at that, actually increased people's positive feelings, and like music really helps you to process like a really broad range of complex emotions, you know. And when you're on your own in lockdown or in the pandemic, you don't have the normal social supports or the social activities. A lot of people lost access to the gym, and one of the few avenues for positive coping mechanisms that people still had access to in the pandemic and throughout was music. So I think it is one of the things that people have reignited their interest with in the last 12 months, and reminded themselves of better times as well. And, you know, the feeling of togetherness and the feeling of having other people around. A lot of people would use music from a social surrogacy perspective, where it makes you feel like there's people with you, even though they might be further away. It's
strange you say that. No wonder you're a doctor, because I watched a lot of concert videos. Old stuff of the Stones down in Cuba or on the beach, you know, Kiss back in '96 when and you just hear all this noise and you see people having a fantastic time, and it's kind of bittersweet, isn't it? It's kind of bittersweet. You think we had no idea what was coming down the pike. We had no idea, and all these people having a fabulous time together. And I don't know if it's ever going to come. I have no idea. I don't know. I some of us will attend. Some of us won't be. Well,
people are coming out. People are coming out. I've done about 6 shows now since we've been sort of released. You know, since our little cage doors were open and we can fly a bit again. And I've been amazed actually at people coming, and also very moved. Because I'm aware when I'm standing there, and Jenny, who plays with me, when we're standing there, that people are taking a risk to come out, you know, and that's very meaningful and very moving. And somehow that's, people are weeping. People are weeping. I mean, it's not me.
I've seen your act, Barb. It's not that bad.
But the songs are so moving, you know.
They are.
Things like, you know, What Happens to the Heart, Leonard Cohen, or Did I Ever Love You? They're very moving songs, and people are bawling their eyes out, you know. And there is something about music being live, and it's wonderful. By the way, I think it's wonderful what you're doing with the pain. Just FYI, that's a wonderful thing. But there is something also, isn't there, about people being in a room with music. which is, the dementia choir thing, when people actually participate in, whether they're participating as audience or performative, there's something about that that's Anatole, it releases vibrations in the body. The body vibrates unconsciously to those sounds. And that has a huge effect. It has a profound effect.
I don't know if it's the release of endorphin. I don't know what it is, or dopamine, or whatever. Throw in any buzzword you like, but it does make you feel better. There's no two ways about it. And the shared experience for your mental health, and I'm sure Lesley would agree with this, the shared experience for your mental health, it goes through the roof, doesn't it? It's just so much better.
Definitely.
You're doing that with shared experience, and
yeah.
My thing is theatre, Russ, and
yes,
I was when they opened up again, I was longing to get back, but I was also scared. It was just like, oh, should I, shouldn't I? The first thing I saw, I went to see because a friend of mine was in it. I know you saw exactly the same production, but with a different cast, which was The Mousetrap. So
The Mousetrap, yeah.
But it was
something difficult.
It was socially distanced and it felt safe. And since then, I've been to 3 other performances. And there's something about the community feeling of being next to somebody, a complete stranger, who is sharing the same experience as you, maybe differently. But there's just something, maybe it's about being alive and actually something live happening there. A bit like the music. When I listen to music, and my go-to, I'm not going to mention my go-to station, but my go-to thing with music is musicals, because I know all the words of all the songs of all the shows, even if I can't sing. And I always feel better when I dance around singing on my own. Nobody else likes it, but I love singing. So, yeah, and I'm going to try that to make the elbow better, Russ. The broken
what,
bone.
singing?
Well, it might help the pain. If
you got Anatole to pop round to Stanmore Bushy, right, and he just sang to you, I got a feeling somehow, knowing your elbow would miraculously, be 100% better, right? The fact that he's young and good looking. The fact he's young and good looking has got nothing to do with the medicinal purposes of his visit.
Do you know what? I would be equally happy for Barb to pop round and sing. Thank you very much.
Anatole, she's saying that.
But I do think it's kind of what's happening at the moment is trying to find like what different types of music engagement do people have access to? What can people get their hands on? What different types work for different things? So like definitely singing has been used in a lot of different music interventions. So say for like singing, there's definitely singing for Parkinson's, singing for dementia, singing for depression.
Really?
Yeah, there's really active community choirs up and down the length and breadth of the UK, where people are brought in and supported to kind of engage in these activities. And it's definitely a joint activity between the music itself and also feeling connected with people. It's the process as much as the outcome of getting up and having something to look forward to and then having those positive memories afterwards.
Claire, let me ask you this, because it was the same with my mum, and I've got a feeling it's going to be the same with Barb, and I hear this from so many people. Why is it that those living with dementia can remember the lyrics of a song from like 1940 perfectly, but don't know who their son or daughter is? What happens to the brain? And if it's not your area, just say it's not your area. We're not the BBC. We're not going to start drilling down. But it's just such a curious thing.
There's a lot of different. It sounds so funny, but your memory is very tightly linked to a physical structure in the brain called the hippocampus. Right. And for people with dementia, that actual structure starts, and a lot of other structures in the brain actually start to wear away. And the bits that have the newest memories in them can be more quickly affected. So you might have some intact structures, and some of your musical memories might be triggered by emotional events. So it's not just that you have the physical structure might be intact. The music is so tightly linked to memory that it's a really strong activation. It's got a really strong pull. Smells as well have really strong memory effects as well. So it's kind of trying to kind of push through with saliency is a really key thing. It's like the saliency of the stimulus, and they can kind of, go into these neural networks that are a little bit they're damaged, really.
What is saliency? I don't know what that means.
It's like it's kind of the amount of this kind of the strength of the music, or the strength of the smell. So it's kind of like how much does it grab your attention? Do you find it interesting or engaging or rewarding? So you'll find with a lot of people with dementia, they'll remember songs that were important to them at one time, but they don't have like a catalogue memory of every single song, so they'll remember songs that they used to know, that used to be important, or, those memories are laid down really, really well. But it's not it's the same with the music and pain as well. It's people who find the sounds really speak to them, are the ones that benefit the most from it. So if you didn't like this track and you really liked metal, or if you really liked electronic dance, or if you really like folk, there's a lot of different types of music out there that speak to different people, and it's really what makes you resonate, and the type of musical experience that makes you resonate as well, whether that's live or recorded. There's definitely evidence out there to support a whole range of musical activities for health and well-being benefits.
It's extraordinary how powerful it is. I think people often poo-poo it and just dismiss it and think it's new age mumbo jumbo, but it's not. No. And if anything, and I'm sure Barb would agree, during the pandemic, it's become even more. And I put it up there, and this is not your field, I know it's a totally different subject, with comedy. Comedy has never been more urgently required, needed, absorbed. And, we're seeing, we lost Norm Macdonald, who it was amazing, made no news over here. And he was a giant. He was a Canadian comedian. I loved Norm Macdonald. My kids got me into Norm Macdonald, and he died.
I'm a big fan.
Oh, you are. Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you. And over here, it's like, who?
No. People do. Some people do. Russ, I just wanted to add to something that Claire just said, which was, Nate, my manager, Nate, sings in care homes. He's got a beautiful baritone voice, and he loves show songs. Lesley loves show songs, and he's a great kind of crooner. He's got beautiful, beautiful voice. And last week he was playing in a care home, and they'd wheeled out this lady, and she was completely. Nothing was happening. And he sang 4, 5, 6 songs. And then suddenly he sang one song, and he said it was as though lights went on. Lights went on in her whole being. And she was moving, and she was singing along. And then when that song was over, she went right back down.
Wow.
But that one song did something, and accessed and it accessed everything. It accessed that she could sing along with it, that she could move, that her eyes were full of life. He said it was quite remarkable. And it made me think of it when you said that. I thought that was a salient song for her, wasn't it? That was salient.
Let me just say this, because I just want to say, I don't know how long we've got with you guys, but I just want to say this, is that people are so sniffy about the entertainers, and that's what they are, the entertainers going into care homes around the UK. They dismiss it. They're so snobby. They're doing the most wonderful thing. Barb's anecdote totally illustrates the power of it, and how much the guests of the care homes, the patients, call them what you will, look forward to it and enjoy it and derive so much pleasure from it. And it annoys me that it's so unfair when people are just so dismissive that someone's doing that as though it's the lowest of the low. No, it's not.
No, it isn't. And there's a lot of things that are related to that. It's kind of like, it's kind of part of the reason we're doing these scientific research studies, is to really be able to quantify these effects, so that, there is that support, even though a lot of artists know and understand it intuitively. And we're also trying to encourage people to bring, music practice and things into everyday contexts, that in an acute pain context, you don't have to necessarily wait until you're completely suffering to reach out and do something that's positive for yourself. And you can tailor that any way that you want. So you can find your favorite piece of music, whatever that may be, And, you know, make an effort to do something for yourself, even if that's just, you know, getting a new record or a new, you know, copy of a CD or a new music player, or indeed, if you can, go out and actually support your artists and go out to a gig and give yourself that time. So like, if you think maybe back a year or two, a lot of people were talking about mindfulness, but we know now that actually mindfulness is very, very difficult. And there's kind of this myth out there that only things that are difficult are somehow good for us. But actually, music really works your mind. There's an awful lot of cognitive, emotional and attentional processes that are engaged when you listen to music, but the effort is not perceived. It's perceived as relatively effortless.
Well, what's wrong with that? You see, I think it's absolute crap. People say, well, it's got to be difficult. That's nonsense.
No,
you enjoy it. I mean, why make such a hoo-ha about it? Three-ring circus. This is what prevents people from just being able to do simple stuff, improve their mental attitude, feel better. You know, just do it. You know, it's not that tricky.
It's not that tricky in reality, but often people will say they feel guilty or overburdened or stressed or things like this. So they might say, I'd love to go to a gig, but I don't have time. You know, I don't have time. I have to do X, Y, and Z. And I think if a lot of people took it really seriously and realized, no, that's my health intervention.
Claire, you're a long time dead. You know,
you're a long time dead.
You're a long time dead. This isn't a dress rehearsal. This is it. This is the gig. You know, you're not coming back. So you might as well make the best of it.
Enrich your life.
Totally so. Anatole, if we want to, I can't play the music because A, I'm an idiot, and B, I'm an idiot. But if you wanted to know how to get hold of it, what do we do? And I'll try and do a banner about it. Go on.
Yeah, sure. So there's a website that has all the info about the study.
If you do it slowly,
track,
what is it?
Yeah, sure. So it's
nurofen.co.uk. NUROFEN. How much of that stuff do I take? Tuning, did you say?
Yeah, like tune, TUNE, out pain.
Oh, tune out pain. I got it.
.co.uk. And they are uploading it at the moment, I think, but the website is there. And then there's a playlist on Spotify called Tune Out Pain as well. So they can get directed to the track. So the track itself is called All of Us. And so that's me on Spotify, Anatole. And yeah.
You can listen, make sure everybody log into Spotify and listen to Anatole's track.
Yeah.
It's great. Test yourself. Test the science for yourself.
Will do. Where will we find it on Spotify?
Oh, so yeah. So there's a playlist called Tune Out Pain.
On Spotify?
And then look out for my name. You could also search that way. So the name that's on screen here, Anatole. So yeah, if you use Spotify.
Fantastic.
Is there anybody left in Australia, or is everybody who's Australian in London?
Oh,
no, there must be three people in Australia left.
I'm in Sydney. I'm still in lockdown. So when you're talking about all that, I did this entire project in lockdown. So I'm feeling a little bit stir crazy. So where
are you now?
I'm in Sydney, Australia.
You're kidding me.
It's nighttime.
Like Clapham or somewhere. You're in Sydney, Australia. Jesus, what time is it there?
It's 9:30, but that's okay. It's glad to put my mind off.
Sydney. And just very briefly, while we've got you, because it behooves me to ask, how are things in Australia? Because you're getting a bad press at the moment. It all seems to be going a little bit sort of not the Australia we know and love.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it's getting a bit much, and we've got. I think we're just kind of failing a little bit to like learn from real world data. We've got a lot of fear mongers who are like, everyone's going to die if we open up and blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. I think we're well past it. Like we're going to be opening up very tentatively at 80% double vaxxed. So I don't even know if you guys have gotten even close to that. So yeah, it's a bit crazy. I've been locked up for 130 days or something.
Oh God.
Like within, I couldn't even go to the studio to finish the track because they changed the restrictions where I could only go a few kilometers from my house. And yeah, so in this room I'm in right now, I did the entire project. So I had to do it in a completely different way where I had to use sounds I'd already recorded for my album, but like repurpose them. And just with the piano I've got behind me. And yeah, like it's just very interesting, and it's limitations that fuel creativity. So you just kind of got to deal with the cards that are dealt with you. So it was an amazing project. So I kind of jumped at the opportunity, even though things are a bit intense over here. So
I had no idea you were in Sydney, Australia. How blooming marvelous.
Yeah.
Technology. Yeah. It's fantastic. I'm impressed. Well, I've got 2 Ovaltine tins and a piece of string. Frankly, that's technology for me, but there we go. Listen, I better let you go. I think, because I know you've got loads and loads of interviews and everything lined up. So, Dr. Claire Howlin, thank you so much. Really interesting. Anatole, congratulations. Wish you all the very, very best. I think it's a fantastic project. Love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
Thanks so much for having us on your show.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, cheerio. Bye-bye. Wow. Sydney, Australia. Get that. And we've got trouble with Stanmore. This is what kills me. She's in Stanmore. She's up the road. He's in his perfect connection with Sydney, Australia, the other side of the world. Stanmore, 3 minutes away. No.
Do you think that means he won't be popping over later to me?
Well, Lesley, you're an attractive woman. You could have sold it a bit harder, and I think, frankly, would have been there by about 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Yeah, but I'd frozen on screen, so I couldn't go anywhere.
Well, then he could just glance at your face. Let's just read this from Paul Claridge. I'm sorry, Lesley, you're disappeared behind script, but stay with us. My friend's grandmother has dementia. Paul Claridge, an amazing chap. She wanted to do something special for her grandmother's birthday a couple of years ago. She was turning 90, bless. I suggested hiring a singer to sing old songs. My friend found a wonderful lady who specialized in songs from the 1940s and 50s. Not only that, she dressed in 1940s fashion. Oh, yes. My friend said suddenly her grandmother was her old self again.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I'll be honest, it's really making me well up a bit. It really, unless you've been through it, gang, it's so damn hard. We had Hilary O'Neill on. And it's the thing is to try and remember who these people were and hold on to that. And that's part of the tragedy and part of the beauty of it as well, isn't it, Barb? I mean,
well, it's a really interesting one, that, and I don't know, Lesley, what you think about this, but I have found myself better off personally responding to the person in front of me as she is now. So, and I mean, and I know who my mother was, and my mother was an extraordinary woman in all kinds of ways. Yeah. And if I dwell on that, then the sense of loss is huge.
It's like they're dead, but they're in front of you. I can't explain it any other way. It's horrible.
But if I think of her now, which I do as my teenager, because I think that I've got a baby and a teenager, and my teenager is 91 and my baby's made of fur. And so when people say, can you come round? I go, well, I have to bring my family. And they go, what's your family? And I say, well, I've got a teenager and a baby. One's 91 and one's made of fur. And that sort of helps me, actually, because then when she's in a bad temper or throws things or does all the things that people with dementia do, I don't think of her as the person she was. I go, gosh, that is so teenage. I go, oh, 14, now, you're 14.
This is almost like I've planned
It's a coping mechanism.
Barb, this is almost like I've planned this, and I think you're going to be impressed. Not only did I get a guest from Sydney, Australia, who knew? And a proper doctor. But you've mentioned teenagers. But what teenagers do? This is so silky smooth, everybody. I swear to God. This is what we call a segue. I'm making it up as I go along. You have a teenager, you've just mentioned. But teenagers leave home, which brings me on to our next guest, Sheree Murphy.
Hello, that was so smooth, Russ. I'm very
Be honest, impressed. You're impressed. We've never met before, but you're already impressed. I can tell. Oh, yeah. I'm on a roll today. Now, Sheree, thank you so much for joining me on this radio. Really, really appreciate it. Isn't it fascinating? Everyone's ladies today, apart from the far too good-looking Anatole. That's the basis of it. Sheree, empty nest syndrome, pining for your kids.
Yes, I'm afraid.
Talk us through it.
It's that time of year for me. So my oldest daughter has just left home for university.
Yay!
I know that's what I should be doing, really.
Yeah, of course you should. Got a house to yourself.
I think it is because of the pandemic, and we've spent so much time together as a family, which, 18 months ago, before that, we probably wouldn't have, because my teenagers would have been off and out. So now I have these real sort of issues where I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she's gone. But on the flip side, obviously, I'm very, very happy for her. I'm so excited. This is a brand new chapter for her. I never went to university, so I feel like I'm going to be living it, through my daughter. So I am excited for her. But yeah, it's that one less person in the house feels a bit strange at the minute.
It is, but you got to let them go.
I know. And that's the thing. It is about letting them go. And I've sworn to myself, I'm not going to get involved. But it's just
Sheree,
I don't know how long it'll last.
Sheree, I don't want to be rude, but you've fallen at the first fence there.
I know. I know.
You are out the race, and the 2:30 at Kempton Park is going on without you. I can tell you that straight away.
I know. I'm really trying, but it's just that thing of, it's every parent's worst nightmare. Obviously, she's free; she can come and go as she pleases, and I have no say in it, which is great for her. Mm-hmm. But as a parent, as a worrier myself, it's just awful. It is.
All right. So tell me, as an expert, how do you stop worrying? I'm the worst, by the way.
I am. I worry about everything. And my mum says, my eldest brother's 50 and he's 50s now. And my mum said it never gets any easier.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't get any better at all.
No, and then you start worrying about the grandkids. So
you worry about everything. That's the point of being a parent.
I know.
It goes with the job.
I know. It never stops. So yeah, I've been working with Sky Mobile, and they've done this fantastic survey on parents and kids, students, about keeping in touch with each other. And like I said before, you don't want to bombard your children with worrying messages.
They'll ignore you anyway. They'll ignore you.
They do ignore you. They do. So it's about...
Sheree, the expert here. You're the official expert on the show today. Let me just tell you this. Let me just mark your card with a few things here, right? They will ignore you until they want something. When they want something, you won't bloody get rid of them. Trust me, they're on the phone, they're on the text, they're on the WhatsApp. They're all over you like a rash.
I know. I think it's these first few months where, they've got the student loans have come in, so they don't need the money at the minute. So I'm trying to find ways to keep in touch. I've set up a family group message. So we all sort of have a little, the other kids will put silly memes on. So she's responding to that at the minute, which is great. So I know she's okay. It's when she doesn't text back, I suppose, I then go to all the other social media platforms that she has to just check her snap maps. Is she alive? Is she there? And she, and she's fine. So that sort of thinks, well, I'm not going to bother her again with a text. It's just, I know that she probably will be in contact when she does need something. I mean, the other day, she didn't know what washing detergent to buy to put in the washing machine. So I got a 2-minute phone call. But I was grateful for that phone call. I loved it.
Yeah, it's great. It's just marvelous, isn't it?
It is.
Where have you been for 18 years? What the hell do you think I've been doing? Do you think the washing fairy does everything here? Why didn't you watch occasionally?
I know. It's honestly
so.
I know. It's ridiculous.
Come on, Lesley, you're dying to say something.
I am, because I'm actually thinking back to when I went off to university. Now, obviously, I don't look old enough to have gone to university in 1968, which was when I left home.
Bloody hell.
Thank you. That's perfect, Barb. Your timing is better than Russ's.
She's a singer, but I'm meant to be a drummer, so that's awkward.
I was the only child of a single parent. I mean, I saw both my parents, but I was living with my mum. My mum wept when I left. Of course she wept. I'd been living with her on my own since I was 11, and at 18 off I went. But we didn't have mobile phones. I mean, nobody had a phone. There was a phone in our halls of residence, but you were lucky to get through. But she managed it. I don't know if it was out of sight, out of mind. She got over it very quickly. I certainly got over it by half term, as it were, of the first term at uni. I was just having the best time. I wasn't bothered about going home or anything. And in fact, my mum had got her social life back and was doing all the things that, bless her, she hadn't done when I was at home, because she obviously wanted to protect me from her social life. Little did she know how much it would rub off. But it is interesting that now communication is so much easier. We worry more than we did then when we couldn't communicate at the drop of a hat. And I wonder if that makes it worse.
I think it is true. I know when I was growing up, when I was going out, we didn't have mobile phones. And I'd say to my mum, I'm going for a sleepover. Little did she know I was at some all-night party and just strolling back the next day. So, and my mum just had to trust me. And I don't think it's not about trust, because I do trust my daughter. But like you say, it's so easy to get hold of them. And I do feel sorry for teenagers, because they can't really breathe, can they? Because we're following them on all sorts of platforms, you know. And I do think, like with this survey that Sky has done, you know, a lot of parents have said, you know, I think it's like 39% of parents have said they can't wait. They want to book a holiday. Now restrictions are lifted. We can go away a bit more, which is great. I mean, I've got 3 other kids, so that's not going to happen for me, unfortunately. You know, it's less washing in the house, you know. So I'm trying to look at all the positive things and also be really happy for Ruby that she is off on this amazing adventure.
Well, it is an adventure, and you got to let them fly, and they'll make really stupid mistakes, and you'll go, oh, Jesus, what were you thinking, you idiot? But that's part of life, isn't it? You know, we make mistakes every single day. I do. I make ridiculous mistakes. But when you're 18 and you think you know it all, you haven't got to that wonderful stage where, if I may say, we've kind of got to where we know we don't know it all. And every day's a school day, and you know the day you stop learning. But we don't have. I don't mean this in a rude way, Sheree, but we don't have the arrogance of we know it or we're so clever. You know, when you're 18, you haven't got that. You think you're like 35, but you're not. In reality, you're about 12. Yeah, that's kind of it. But you look 18 or older. That's the problem. Worrying about it helps absolutely nothing. I think the key to it, I don't know if this came up in your survey, just and seriously, is for your own mental health. And for theirs, if they know you're there at the drop of a hat, if they know they can rely on you, if they know they can say anything to you like, Mom, I'm really sorry, I have completely messed up, I've done X, Y, Z, and it could be horrendous. But, you know, as a parent, you're going to do your best to resolve it and solve it, and you won't love them any less. You tell them they're an idiot, but then you get on with it. As long as they know that, I think that's an equal way of balancing this out, so they can relax and you can relax.
Absolutely, that's such good advice. Obviously, because this is new to me, you know, so I'm just kind of learning. You know, I've got little ones, so I'm kind of good at the little ones because I've done it all before. But it's as they're getting older, I'm finding it more difficult. And at the same time, like I said before, I want them to enjoy their life, make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes, but same time know that we are there for them. So yeah, it's a tough journey, but it's a good one, and it's one that
you know, there's tough journeys and there's not. What Barb has been discussing with her mum and what we've been focusing on, which was dementia and Alzheimer's, only because I thought it'd be good to focus on it, because people don't talk about it, because it's not sexy, because it's not attractive, because there's no upside. And then people go, oh, let's talk about, you know, puppies and, you know, little children. Well, fine, everybody can get behind that. Alzheimer's and dementia's, it's rough. But going away to uni and growing up, it's all part of a nice process. It's part of a nice process. And they'll meet new friends, and they'll start to discover who they really are. And amazingly, they will start to appreciate you more.
Just a very quick, two quick things, because I'm going to have to go and check on the baby of fur and the teenager who's 91. But just very quickly, my nephew went to university. Well, went to college in America. He's American. He went to college 3 weeks ago, and his dad hadn't heard from him at all. And we speak to them every day because he's my sister's. Well, my sister died, so he's very close to us because we've been this sort of significant women in his life, me and my mum. And so I've been speaking to his dad every day. You know, have you heard from Mirik? And he's tracked him through his credit card. He said, no, but I know he's okay because today he bought some books. And he said, no, he went out, he had a takeout, and he was tracking him on the credit card. And then he went to visit him in Annapolis, because he's in Annapolis, because he had another friend there. And the deal was that they were going to have lunch with this other friend. And on the morning, he's in a hotel. My brother-in-law's in a hotel. He texts my nephew to say, look, I've brought some stuff for you. Would you like me to bring it to the lunch? My nephew texts back, I'm downstairs in your hotel. I get up at 7 every day, unlike you. I'm already here.
Whoa.
Yeah. So we've had quite a big surprise.
Oh, yeah.
With him flying the nest. He's flown the nest and turned into another person who gets up at 7 and goes out with people and does things. I mean, this is all so, you know.
I know. I think they'll surprise. You know, I do think we've got to give the students, the kids, a lot of credit. They, you know, like I said, my daughter can't wait. After lockdown, she was so ready to leave home, so ready to, you know, start this new adventure. And I'm just pleased it's come at a time where restrictions are lifting, so she can really enjoy, you know, being out and about with friends and stuff, which they couldn't do last year, certainly. So, yeah,
I need to discuss something with Sheree. I know you've got to go, Barb.
Gotta go.
Bless you for coming on.
I can't tell you how much I've loved this.
You have an open invitation to men's radio and to women's radio anytime. You know that.
Thank you so much.
Barb,
and will you email me everybody's email? I'd like to be in touch with Lesley, please. I would really like
hell of a
that.
Hornet's nest there, Barb.
Thank you. That's a hornet's nest I'm really happy to open.
I'm saying this as a friend. You don't know.
Sheree, my mum was such a huge fan.
Oh, thank you. I was listening before when you were all talking, so I got the backstory. But
yeah, such a huge fan.
Thank you.
Barb,
Such
lots of love to you and to you.
And to you. Thank you so much.
Okay,
bye.
Bye. Now, Sheree, she's great. And if you've never seen her in concert, by the way, and it's really, I don't often wax lyrical about folks, but she's an exceptional performer. Very intimate, and she just draws you in. Few people can sell lyrics the way that she does.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's extraordinary. Sheree, here's the thing: you have to let them kind of grow. And I found that with the twins, they went off to one went to Bath to do mechanical engineering. One went to Oxford to read English literature, and they excelled as people. They became completely self-reliant. They became completely self-sufficient, and constantly surprised me. When you think they're doing nothing, and the great myth is they just laze around doing sod all and get up at 3 p.m. and go to like one lecture a month, and the rest of the time they're arsing around. It's not true at all. Yeah. But the point I would say, if I could add one caveat, and I know that's not why you're here, but you seem absolutely delightful. I know we've never met before, but it's an important thing. And it's come along with a lot of our listeners from all over the world have said the same thing. And it was our experience. The pastoral care at university is shocking. Shocking. So, Sheree, if you are in any way relying on the fact they're really going to take great care of the mental health well-being of your kid,
it's not going to happen.
It's just, it is. I mean, Lesley, who is an educational expert, I know she's shaking her head and supporting me. And when I mentioned it in passing on some previous shows, and my lines just lit up, and everyone said, "Thank God you said this," because they pretend they're really caring. I don't think they give a sod. That's an awful thing to say.
Yeah.
So your role as a parent, believe me, it is never replaced by the university.
Right. Well, it's good to know.
That sounds quite controversial, but it's my personal experience and so many others.
And I do think, with this whole campaign with Sky Mobile, it is about keeping in touch. And I know I'm probably sounding like a bit of a neurotic mother, and most of us we all worry about our children, but especially what's happened over the last 18 months for everybody's mental health. You know, when there are times that students will be on their own, and hopefully we won't go into some big lockdown again. Hopefully that won't happen again. But the fact that these channels are open for us to talk, group messages, FaceTiming, you know, it is so important to, especially for me as a parent. I don't want to know what the ins and outs, what they're up to every night. I'm not interested. I just want to know that they're safe, and I want them to know that I'm there for them. If they want to talk about anything, I'm there. So that's
all there is to it. Exactly. Sheree, I can't believe it. We're out of time. Sheree, it's been an absolute pleasure to have met you. Thank you for coming on.
Good luck with me, Russ.
Oh no, any time. Lesley de Meza, I may see you Friday at this rate, because yes, that would be lovely. Thank you, everybody. Thanks to our fantastic guests. Sydney, Australia. Who the hell knew? I'll be back on. Every day's a mystery. I'll be back 11 a.m. Friday. Until then, try and stay safe. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.